Hello everybody. Got one more video here we need to add to the stockpile of brilliance. And this one is going to explain how Exxon played all of you like a fiddle. That's fact, that's what happened. Um, what you need to understand is an old quote from Vladimir Lenin. What is the best way to control the opposition? Well, you lead them yourself, right? That's very true. That's what Exxon did here. Um, so what you've got going on right now is what they're talking about, the Great Reset, right? If you'll remember, Saudi Arabia was bombed about a year ago, probably by now, symbolizing that Saudi Arabia was closed for business or would shortly be closed for business. And if you're aware of what I'm aware of, there's 500 brand new shore tanks built on the Gulf Coast of Texas, along with 5 pipelines coming out of the Permian Basin. Now, if you were probably the richest organization in the world, which is OGC, they are the whales, and everybody else is the remora, including big tech, because they have to use the chemicals that come off the column while they're making gasoline. So they eat the whale's shit, which is what a remora does. So you have your basically the entire civilization depends on gasoline. If I was the gas man, that's exactly what I would do. Remember that? Watch I'm a Whale, You're a Remora video on my YouTube channel. So knowing that Vladimir Lenin quote, what would Exxon do for this great reset where they're going to start using Texas to supply the world's oil instead of Saudi Arabia? Well, what they would do is they would partner with Elon Musk for controlled opposition. And they would use Tesla in order to guarantee that this electric car evolution, which it isn't, it's not an evolution, you'll run into a whole lot of problems with the electric cars down the road. However, they're great. Tesla's making great cars. I'm just saying, I'm not saying the quality of Tesla's bad or anything. I'm just saying there's hurdles down the road that y'all haven't got to yet. So, and Exxon, after I get done explaining this, can see the hurdles better than anybody because they're Orion agents and they're actually a cosmic entity. And that's what we're here for, is to pump the oil out of the ground and burn it into the atmosphere, leading up to this next ice age. Okay, you need CO2 in the atmosphere in order to prevent the world from freezing. And if you do all of that before an ice age and you do it right, you can actually terraform a planet, preventing an ice age that would kill all of the life on the planet, like it has in the past. And it always comes back over time, but you're talking millions of years and stuff like that, right? So humans pumping CO2 out of their tailpipes into the atmosphere will actually counter the ice age. So what would you do? You would, if you wanted to hang all of your competition while you set up the Great Reset, which is replacing Saudi Arabia with Texas and making sure that you got all the financials and the infrastructure in place to do so, you would hit the world with something that jars the system long enough for everybody to calm down while you implement this new Texas supplying the oil to the world program, which is what's taking place. And while you're doing that, you would say global warming a lot and get that in people's minds so that all of the people that actually believed all of that shit would jump on board with it, thinking that we are actually going into a global warming period when truly we're going into an ice age. So later on, after the truth comes out, see there that you put the rope around their neck. Of course, Elon was controlled opposition. It's going to be about 60-40 by the time it's all said and done. 2031, that's Agenda 2031. So you'll be 60% gasoline, 40% Tesla. And Exxon hedged, they're going to invest in Elon to go to the moon to get helium-3. So that even farther down the road when we come out of the ice age, Exxon's already hedged, so they won't lose a whole lot of money because they're going to lose the oil business. Now they're going to go into helium-3 with Elon, who's their controlled opposition. You see what they did there? But in the meantime, The political party that's the environmentalist that is the actual cancer to society because they want to planet equals plan ET. They actually want to counter ET's plan, which is sucking oil out of the ground. So you set all of them up, which is all of your competitors, by making them believe that we're going into global warming when truly we're going into an ice age, and then boom, at the snap of a finger, when Texas is ready to start supplying oil for the Great Reset, the rope's around their neck and you pull the lever and you tell the world, actually, we're going into an ice age and we need to pump more oil into the atmosphere, or a CO2. We got to take oil out of the ground and pump it into the atmosphere. By the way, and all your packaging and all that stuff is made out of the chemicals that come out of gasoline, right? So it was a uber super duper where they set up their enemies, which was big tech and people like that that actually want to hack our minds illegally. Other entities that want to use technology to hack our minds and control us, like avatars. They set them up too. See, E.T. doesn't like that very much. So at that moment where Texas takes over the responsibility of delivering the oil to the entire world, you say we're going into an ice age, and now all of the people who were all for the green energy, which is a big joke. Windmills are frozen. You couldn't even use the windmill the electricity off of it during the winter storm here in Texas. All of that's a joke, okay? You need natural gas and you need oil and all of that for your energy generators down here. Anywhere in the world, you're going to have it. You're never going to get enough power out of this green energy program. Now, solar panels are a good idea. I think people should put some solar panels on their roof or whatever as a backup or whatever. But it's not that important when you got gluts of natural gas that is just clean burning natural gas that you could basically power 15 states like we used to down here in Texas. And now all of a sudden we can only ramp up the 30% because the federal government is putting their foot on our throat, which was by design, by the way, so that we could convince Texas that we need to secede better after they freeze their balls off for a week and realize that the United States government was behind that. Even the Texas Rangers probably froze their balls off a little bit, and they have all this information. So what I'm saying is Exxon used Elon Musk, rat love, to set up their competition by and they probably financed Elon and all of that. So he's running his Tesla, which is going to be the 40%, and that's going to be the mainstream electric car that's the controlled opposition of Exxon to make sure that nobody else gets in that business and makes too many electric cars to get into the 60% of the gasoline engines that we're going to need to prevent an ice age. Plan ET. So all of that worked to perfection. So what you're about to see is a whole lot of suicidal liberals who, when they find out we're going into an ice age, are going to put a gun in their mouth and pull the trigger because they're going to feel like worthless scumbags, right? Of course, I didn't come up with that part. That was just a side effect there. So, you know, those people can't even, they're not even anywhere in the vicinity of being home. They're totally under mind control of artificial intelligence, and that's how you get them to vote Democrat, which is absolutely ridiculous if you like freedom, okay? Of course, the Democrats are pretty savvy, you know. I mean, what they did was knew that we needed to curb the population trend, so what we'll do is we'll set up our own constituents to all be suicidal when it's all over. And that's a little bit more of a righteous way to curb the population trend than some of these other tactics that were being used. Is we'll just lie to them for a long time, and then when we tell them the truth, because it turned out they were a bunch of dumb fucks, they're so political minded, polio slaves, political input output, they'll put a gun in their mouth and blow their brains out. So that part's probably coming here pretty soon. But what you'll end up with is everybody finds out, oh, Texas is very set up right now to secede, and we can control Washington with those 500 shore tanks that we have on the Gulf Coast of Mexico and those 5 pipelines coming out of the Permian Basin, which will put trillions of dollars in the Texas purse, like Saudi Arabia was making trillions of dollars off of their oil. Well, we can keep our own tax money down here in Texas instead of giving it to Washington, which is all the sales pitch you need for Texas to secede, especially after they just shut our power off unnecessarily for a week because they choked our own ability to make our own power, and we had plenty of plants to do so because they're a federal, they want to choke us. They're trying to hold us hostage. They know that we have all this power now, and they're trying to prevent us from becoming too powerful. But the Pentagon realized that we can finance the Pentagon better than Washington can, and like Forrest Gump said, we got more money than Davy Crockett, which is true. So the Pentagon's going to get behind Texas, and we're going to finance the Pentagon instead of Washington, right? That is how you sell the Texas Secedes plan. And at the end of the day, what you end up with is a 60% gasoline engine and a 40% Tesla until 2031, and then you reconvene. And then you start talking about helium-3. We'll see where we're at in the Ice Age at that point. It may get really bad, but what's going to prevent the Ice Age from getting even worse is pumping more CO2 into the atmosphere. Okay? Oh, and by the way, Ice Ages are cyclical. They're a naturally occurring event. That's where planet comes in, plan ET. Those cyclical ice ages, if you'll look at a chart, it actually, if you look at the chart of the cycles of ice ages, we're actually in the ice age right now. Had we not pumped all of that CO2 into the atmosphere over the years, which conveniently there was oil in the ground so that we could burn it out of vehicles into the atmosphere, we'd already be freezing our balls off. It's terraforming, and we didn't build 500 shore tanks on the Gulf Coast of Mexico and 5 pipelines out of the Permian for nothing. The whole thing was a trap to that Borg-Warner toolbox where it flips. We're going to serve it to you. I know that's not what you want to hear, but that's what we're going to do, Seven Nation Army. What we're going to serve to you is the reality of the environmental crisis. And the reality is we're going into an ice age and not global warming. And all of this has been proven, and not only that, the recent events in Texas where your windmills froze up and you had to de-ice them with helicopters that use gasoline, and all that unbelievable symbolism that just proved that all of that's just a joke so that y'all could have the ropes put around your head, so that Exxon, when they flip the script, they're going to pull the lever, the gallows, and then all of those people that were on board with that are going to look like jackasses and they're going to die, right? So that's how John Rockefeller would have taken care of his competition in a long, drawn-out major loan play after the United States government stole all of his businesses from him. And I'm his grandson. See how that works? Like Alex says, criminals love to tell on themselves, even though it's kind of hard to charge aliens with a crime, isn't it? What all that boils down to, Texas Rangers, is the oil business is about to be booming in Texas. And they're actually forcing us to secede so that we can control Washington. Exxon's doing that. And extraterrestrials, who's been controlling Exxon for a long time. So what you want to keep in mind is all of those emails I've sent you and that entire playbook that's in there. You can pretty much bank on all that. They're actually forcing Texas to secede because Washington's so corrupt that we could run information campaigns against America from Texas via the Pentagon, right? So the Pentagon's on board with this, parts of the Pentagon, because they know that we can finance them better than Washington can. And literally, I mean, at the end of the day, the people with all the guns have all the power. So, and then, of course, who really has the power to supply those guns to those people are the people who use columns in order to refine gasoline. And when you refine gasoline, you get all of your byproducts that makes the entire economy up. The entire economy is based off of those columns and what comes off of them for chemicals. All of it. Everything is. Plastic and your packaging. Everything's made out of chemicals now, right? You got to have chemicals in everything. So that is the whale, and then everybody else is the remora who eats the whale's shit. And that's why you'd want to watch that video, I'm a Whale, You're a Remora, on my YouTube channel again, which is spot on, by the way. Oh, and by the way, Exxon, I know you're getting my emails too. and you're also getting all these videos. Uh, United States Army Special Operations Command is my muscle now. Well, they always were, but they're well up to speed now. They're going to probably make a visit to your finance department here pretty soon with some baseball bats because you owe me some money. So be expecting that.